lot of us, and we have a lot of fun together, and we're a family, and so it's just it's a practical thing to have solidarity with each other. There's a lot of room in Crack Cloud rhythmically and texturally, so it's like even if any one of us is doing the most minimal thing, like whether it's just a note or just the sparsest contribution, is still worthwhile by principle of having Jesse or Garnet or Will, just having their presence. We like to stick together, we like to move in a group, and it's the presentation, it's just the energy, it's like the symbiotic relationship that we have with each other and what we inspire in each other. And so it's more than just the instrument, it's also just it's the chemistry that we bring for each other on stage and off stage. Yeah, it's just a community, it's family, it's friends, loved ones. People come in and out, as is life. We've moved several times. Currently we're based in Vancouver. It all began in Calgary. And so you'll see familiar faces in the video. You'll see a diverse cast, and it's really just a representation of our community and who are around during the time of making our videos and our music, the people that we're having conversations with, people that are pure and simple just interested in artistic exploration and dialogue, and bringing something to the table as far as like exploring their own identity and contributing that to an artistic platform. And that's what Crack Cloud ultimately is a platform for our community to entertain ideas that are sometimes on the fringes or not talked about out in public. At least like ideologically, that's how I view Crack Cloud, and I think people resonate with that, and they bring their own voice to the table, and that's kind of the excitement. That's why you see a lot of people. I think to call it a band would be deceptive based on what we just talked about. 10 months of the year, at least, I mean, speaking for the last 2 years, I mean 12 months of the year, Crack Cloud has been utterly what takes place on the streets, on the basketball court, in the field, in the basement. Crack Cloud is like home. Touring is just one aspect of this project, and so to call it a band, yeah, like I say, I think that would be deceptive to the spirit of it. I think that to have a platform at all is a privilege, and it's something that we don't take for granted. I think that, of course, we have things that we feel compelled to communicate because we know that there are people out there that resonate with these things, and art in general has saved me as far as being somewhat alienated in my way of thinking, in my way of life, and to be able to discover something or someone talking about something that I don't hear very often, and to be validated by that, to be reminded that I'm not the only one that feels a certain way, is extremely important. And I think that that is like ultimately the purpose of art, is to unify people in thought and in emotion. We take a lot of influence from exploitation cinema, fringe cinema. We like to play caricatures. We like to play with parody and satire. That Mad Max aesthetic, the post-apocalyptic aesthetic, I think it resonates very much with this generation and with society in general. We're always romanticizing the end of the world and anarchy, and it's a trope that goes hand in hand with rock music, and so we were playing on tropes, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, there's not too much commentary beyond that. It's you know, just coming out of the Trump era, and there was a lot. There is still a lot of division. I don't think I need to point that out in the world. And so Us Just Do is just one big caricature. That image, that Mad Max image is just it's all a caricature of I would say division.
Perhaps we cannot come to a proper solution. We'll choose a side. How do we value one over the other? Is that person? Let's pick a loser. One thing in this, one thing in that. Know what you hear?
Personally, I am vulnerable to cynicism, and I think that it's really easy to be cynical, and if I can channel that into an artistic project and utilize that project as an outlet to explore that cynicism, and that allows me to move through life with some semblance of relief, then that's great. And I think that's also part of art, is being able to release yourself of negative feelings and channel it into a focused outlet. And so absolutely there's a lot of cynicism and negativity and criticism that exists in Crack Cloud, but I wouldn't say that it's a cynical project. I would say that or at least I'd like to believe that it's a celebratory, uplifting project, and there's optimism, and there's a real sense of will and purpose that goes beyond just darkness. And I think that cynicism and darkness and negativity can exist in harmony with optimism, and it's just finding that balance. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. I haven't figured out how to totally separate life and your own personal experiences from the art. I think some people are good at it, as far as writers of fiction. I can't separate my life from the art that I work on, and so my identity will always be seeping into what we do, and I think the same can be said about everyone that works on the project. That has always been an absolute goal for us, especially after finishing Pain Olympics, which was darker. Pain Olympics was definitely, even just for me personally, going back to talking about how you can really brood and live in cynicism and negativity, and it's about finding an outlet to channel that, and that's what Pain Olympics was. It was a release of a lot of pent-up frustration and trauma, and it was a release. And so to come out of that more grounded and sober-minded and rejuvenated, kind of having our sights set on more of an antithesis to that darker side. And I feel like a children's series is kind of like the main focus now, or at least something that offers a brighter, more fun and redemptive side to life. And I would say that your youth is when you are most vulnerable and susceptible to influence, and what you're exposed to really defines or sets the precedent for who you become. And I think about all of the positive influences that I had growing up in the media and elsewhere, and how it informed me and how it reinforced me. And that's kind of the aim for the next record, is to have a conversation with the youth and relate to the youth, and think about what helped me as a youth and how I can, or how we can relate to this generation. Not so much focusing on the trauma, it's focusing on the phenomena of life and all of the things that awestruck me and the group when they were younger, and just honing in on the idiosyncrasies that excited us when we were younger, and not so much the things that fucked us up. I think it's a story that is still unfolding. I would say that it's a constantly morphing narrative. I think that pretty fascinated with just the mythos of teleological thought, the idea of like humanity or whatever working towards some greater purpose. And that's kind of how I think about art, is like something that is not quite defined, discovering itself through the act of existing. And Crack Cloud has always been such an open book that from the very beginning, without defining itself too much, we follow our intuition, we follow our instinct, we follow whatever is happening internally and externally, and we exercise that. And where it ends up, I'm not sure, but it's just instinct. And yeah, I don't have an answer as far as where the story is going. I think that it will really just be defined by how we take care of ourselves and what happens in the world and what kind of inclinations and opportunities we have. Nothing's off the table. There's no ultimate ending to it. It's just the chaos and improvisation of life and how we treat each other that will define where it goes.